Well, did you catch Jameis Winston's pregame chat with our Amanda Balionis? It was all-time bars from the backup quarterback in Cleveland, making his first start since 2022. Then he goes out and gets the win for the Browns over the Ravens. He led the game-winning drive that included a 38-yard passing touchdown to Cedric Tillman for the go-ahead score. Winston thanking the Lord and Savior for the win, while also giving credit to one of hip-hop's greatest after the game. Take a listen.
It's not often that you get another opportunity like you have just received in the NFL. What does it mean to lead these guys, and what could be the start of what you said is something special moving forward?
Man, it's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire, named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity lasts once in a lifetime. And I know I got to quote, Eminem, he from Detroit, he right up the road, but man, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that the Lord provided me with this opportunity. I'm grateful for my teammates, my coaches, and these amazing fans.
Unbelievable performance today. Congratulations, Jameis.
Shout out to our Amanda Balionis for just keeping her composure in that moment, because, man, Jameis Winston is a treat. As we welcome in our Aditi Kinkhabwala, who will also be on the sidelines this weekend covering Jameis. Aditi, there's so many ways we could take this question, right? But let's focus on the Browns here, because they are at the bottom of the AFC North, right? And they've just struggled this season. But what did Jameis say in that pregame? Unwavering faith, the ultimate belief, and that change at quarterback, and all of a sudden the Browns are looking pretty good. What are you expecting out of Jameis as he gets another start this weekend?
I mean, this is just a total turning of the page. Even before we get to Jameis, did you see Kevin Stefanski running on the field with that huge grin on his face? I have to tell you that 2 weeks ago, when our crew was in Cleveland for the Bengals at the Browns, it just was jarring how not like Kevin Stefanski Kevin looked. I mean, there was frustration, there was disappointment, there was aggravation. This was a team that just seemed checked out in so many ways, defeated, down. It all seemed like it was crashing. And then all of a sudden, Jameis Winston goes in. He calls himself Mr. Increase for a reason. He brings all sorts of energy, and the offense starts playing better. And they're taking advantage of shots downfield, something that we hadn't seen under Deshaun Watson. And now, look, there's definitely more at play here, Haley, right? This offensive line was certainly healthier than it has been all year. You saw the 4 veterans that you wanted to see. Nick Chubb was in his 2nd game back. And Jameis Winston, as we've seen all year long from quarterbacks who are kind of getting second opportunities, be it Andy Dalton, be it Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston made the most of his opportunities. He's a guy that when you watch him along the sideline, whether he's the starter or he's the emergency 3rd quarterback, he's always bringing that energy to his teammates. He's always walking up and down the sideline. Now when he's in the game, that's just magnified 3, 4, 5 times. And you saw a Browns team, at least on tape, on film, I'm watching a Browns team that looks like it's just got so much more energy. And it also has a defense that's playing better. This is now 2 weeks in a row where it feels like the defense has finally found its footing. So I'll tell you, I'm very, very excited to get out to Cleveland and to see how different this team looks in just 2 quick weeks.
You will be on the sidelines for that one as the Browns take on the Chargers. Jameis needs his own segment. I wish we had 45 minutes to talk about him as well as a quarterback. But, Aditi, another quarterback that you've become very familiar with this season specifically, of course, is Joe Flacco. We saw his name on that list as well with Jameis, with all of the numbers in their first game playing with a team. But more and more, we are expecting to see Joe Flacco behind center in Indy, because Shane Steichen has told us that he's going to be the starter going forward. Let's listen in before we get your thoughts.
Joe will be our quarterback going forward. Tough decision, but one I felt was in the best interest of our football team. I feel that Joe gives us the best chance to win right now. With that being said, not giving up on Anthony by any means, really not. He's a young player with a ton of talent, and he'll use this time to continue to develop and grow as a professional.
So the Colts now become the 2nd team this season, Aditi, to bench their younger quarterback in favor of the older, more experienced player as well. What do you think this change says about where the Colts are right now in this season?
I think it's that the Colts are not giving up on the season in any way. The Colts are looking at an AFC that is actually pretty wild, and that outside of the Chiefs, you're not necessarily feeling like, oh my goodness, there are world beaters here. There are teams that feel as if they can compete, then they want to get into the dance to see if they can compete. What's really interesting about this is that Shane Steichen, and we go back for a minute, Haley, our crew had the Colts actually 3 weeks in a row. We had them against the Steelers, which is the game that Anthony Richardson got hurt. Joe Flacco came in, led the team to victory. Then we saw Joe Flacco again down in Jacksonville, where he nearly helped the Colts climb out of a 2-touchdown hole late in the game. The defense then gave up a field goal, and then we saw him against the Titans, where he again engineered a win. The thing is that Shane Steichen was so adamant with us that the only way a young quarterback gets better is by playing. Anthony Richardson is a young quarterback who just hasn't played that much. He didn't play a lot in college. He hasn't played a lot in the NFL. He got hurt last year. And at the time that we were seeing him in that Steelers game, he'd started 8 games and he'd only finished 4 of them. A lot of that is simply because he's not used to the speed of the NFL game and used to that sort of talent. Let's just think about it this way. When he was playing in high school, he was so much better than anybody else on the field. It's not as if anybody was hitting him and he felt it. Then he goes to college and he's still largely better than almost everybody he faces. And there's only a small sample size in college anyway. You get to the NFL, you don't necessarily know how big that safety is or how fast that safety is coming at you. And there's a piece that you need to learn how to protect your body. But now Shane Steichen loves Anthony Richardson, loves his approach. He said to us that he has so much faith in him because of the way that he works at it. This is a very uncommonly mature young man. He helped raise his younger brother. So all of those things made you feel like Shane Steichen did not want Anthony Richardson to get development from the bench. He did not want him to get development by watching. But now you've got a team it's actually playing fairly well, that does indeed have some talent, and you have to give that team a chance. And so this is actually very similar to what Dave Canales told us when he made the switch from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton, which you kind of referenced earlier. And that was that you have to think about everybody else on the team. And it's not just about the development of the one position, but you have to give everyone a chance to win, which clearly seems to be what Shane Steichen is doing. And I'll just say this. I go back 15 years with Joe Flacco. I've covered him since he was with the Ravens. He is playing outstanding football right now. And I think so much of it is just mindset, too. It's not just the 18 years of having seen every single defense. It's not just knowing where to go with the ball, when to go with the ball. It's not just being just unnaturally cool and calm in the huddle. He's got a ton of confidence in what he's doing, and that is contagious with the rest of his teammates. He's also, I don't know if he's Jameis, but he's certainly having a lot of fun too. So that's got to count for something.
Yeah, maybe not like the punchy viral sound bites that we're getting from Jameis that we get from Joe Flacco. I just need someone in the building to tell Anthony Richardson, never tell the media that you're tired. Like, come up with any excuse in that press conference, but don't tell us you're tired, my boy.
You know what? I'll tell you, in our group chat, in our crew group chat, I actually said to them, maybe that's one of those where you don't tell the truth.
Yeah, maybe keep that to yourself. He certainly has some lessons to learn, but it will be Joe Flacco going forward, as well as the Colts get the Vikings this weekend on Sunday Night Football. Let's pivot and talk about another team in primetime, Aditi. The Jets are back. They'll be playing in Thursday Night Football, hosting the Texans. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, though, we all know that he's used to the spotlight at this point of his career, right? He's talked a lot about the darkness and how he's seen the darkness and wants to go in it. Kind of feels like maybe he should be wanting to hide in the darkness when you look at his numbers. Aditi, this is his worst 8-game start in his career, and this is in a season where the head coach has now been fired. They brought in a Davante Adams, and that hasn't helped out the way they wanted it to, at least initially here. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, what do you make of this season and just what they've tried to do versus what they've actually done on paper this year?
You know, I have to be honest, we just had them this last week against the Patriots, and going into the game, after we had our meetings, after we talked to Aaron Rodgers, after we talked to Davante Adams, you got a real sense that they had a 5-day stretch. This Sunday game against the Patriots, who of course were a one-win team, and then this Thursday night home game against the Texans, that they had a 5-day stretch to not only change the narrative around their organization, but really changed the course of their season. And then you go out there and Haley, it was just a mess. I mean, they had 4 timeouts that had absolutely nothing to do with the clock, just from disorganization and sloppiness. They get a delay of game on a 2-point conversion, and the whole operation just isn't working particularly well. Now, you have to sit here and think about the fact that when Jeff Ulbrich was named head coach, he had absolutely zero preparation for that. This is a first-time head coach who had no offseason, no summertime, no preseason, no lead-up to game day management, to running an entire sideline. That means all 3 phases of the game, to understanding how the clock works. I mean, we saw how he couldn't even get the challenge flag out. And again, like, it's not as if you just wake up one day and you're a head coach and you know how to manage the minutia of being a head coach. It's hard to say. You know, Davante Adams certainly can change a lot. We saw how he drew double teams and how that really opened up things for Garrett Wilson, who's really one of the bright young stars in this game. The Jets do know how to run the ball. It's maddening because there's a lot of talent there, that's for sure. But the defense has not been playing well since Robert Saleh's firing. And as you said, time is running short. We had meetings where you really thought that they had a handle on things, and then we watched a lot of sloppiness. So I hate to lay that on Aaron Rodgers' feet. I don't think that that's all about him. I really appreciated the leadership I saw from him on the sideline. I think it's way too easy to blame Rodgers when there's a lot more at play there.
Yeah, just not been the season anyone expected out of the Jets. At this point, they're 2-6, and again, they'll take on the Texans Thursday Night Football, 8:15 over on Amazon. Aditi, before we let you go, we got to talk about the trade deadline. It is coming up quickly. Next Tuesday, 4 p.m. is the cutoff. We've already seen some big moves. We just talked about Davante Adams, but a player that just recently moved that you are familiar with, and that's Diontae Johnson, has had a wild up to this point of the season, went from being a Steeler to a Panther, and now he is a Raven. Just take us inside what you know about Johnson, the player, and how he'll fit in Baltimore.
You know what? I think this is a tremendous move for the Ravens. Diontae Johnson has all sorts of talent. He does indeed have game-breaking talent. The last 2 years in Pittsburgh were just a mess. We've gone through this a million times. The offense was arguably one of the most dysfunctional offenses in the National Football League, one of the most predictable offenses. The Steelers made a move from their offensive coordinator, moving on from Matt Canada. But, of course, that was too late for Diontae Johnson. They move him to Carolina. Dave Canales could not speak more highly of Diontae Johnson and the teammate he is and who he has been in the building. We saw him against Vegas actually have a seemingly breakout game with Andy Dalton. Canales had said it's really just about getting him targets. But of course, we see where Carolina is. And now Diontae Johnson gets to go to a contending team that certainly is running an exciting offense, and Lamar Jackson gets a reliable target, another potential game breaker. It's exciting for the Ravens. You know, I mentioned the Chiefs earlier, and there are certainly other teams in the AFC we're excited about, the Bills, the Ravens. We just don't talk about them the same way until they actually do it in the playoffs. But in this case, Haley, this is kind of like an incidence of the rich getting a little bit richer.
Yeah, I hate when we just give the best teams the best players, but here we are. That's the NFL in 2024. Our Aditi Kinkhabwala joining us to get ready for the Week 9 NFL slate. She will be on the sidelines of Browns Chargers. Aditi, thanks for hopping on HQ with us. This is what you got on tap for the NFL on CBS. Week 9 will feature, of course, the Broncos and the Ravens. 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll see maybe Diontae Johnson get in on that one. The Saints trying to bounce back with the Panthers. Bryce Young will get the start in that game, by the way. And then the 4:05 slate, 2 big games. The NFL is on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.